already considered to be pound for pound by many king of the sport, but is he the hardest hitting in his division? Terence Bud Crawford, the hardest hitting welterweight? That's what today's episode right here on the Double RT Boxing Show. That's what we're talking. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the show. Okay. Again, thank you for your time and support. I do appreciate that. If you have not signed in at the front desk of this Boxing Junkie, the rehab for us Boxing Junkies known as the Double RT Boxing Show, the Ready Talk Boxing Show, I kindly appreciate keeping the doors open for this place. Sign in at the front desk. Subscribe. Now, right into it. Hardest hitting welterweight. I think we could just quickly cut off, because I only got 4 people we're going to discuss, and we're going to quickly just cut off a good amount of names. Pacquiao, I don't think he's the hardest hitting at this age in his career. Other top names in the brackets, in the high ups, 1s and 2s, you got Danny Garcia, Porter, Quattrilo, Lipinets, Custo Clayton, Jamal James, Ugas. Those, I think, throughout their bodies of work of what we've seen, their work has proven they're not a hard hitter. Talented fighters as they may be, just not hard hitters. Keith Thurman, at one time, could have been in this conversation, but in a recent amount, the knockouts kind of fell off. So can't really bring him in there. And that's an important factor, because anytime a discussion is in the works here on the Double RT Boxing Show, I don't dig and hold the cup of water based on your history of your resume. It's always a 3-year gap. So if we're talking pound for pound, it's what has that fighter done in the 3 years. Because you could definitely do a lot of shit in your career and then start doing a cupcake in the last 3 years. I'm not going to sit up. I don't want to go pound for pound talk. So in this discussion, the hardest hitter in the welterweight divisions, your knockouts could look great in the beginning of your career, but what have you done in the last 3 years of your career? That's where we get the meat and potatoes of facts. And the only thing we can have on this discussion we could go on is numbers and what have you done in the last 3 years of your resume. So we're going to get into that. We crossed off a whole bunch of names, and there's only 4 names that I think of that are deserving of this conversation. You can throw a young Conor Ben in here, but again, who the fuck is he fighting? So, leave that out. And plus, he's not all knockouts. So, I just think he hits pretty hard. But that being aside, that's an honorable mention, I guess. We're going to start the show off with, like I said, all we have is resume within the last 3 years and numbers. We're going to go with Egis Kavalauskas coming in first, or just being mentioned first. How about that? There's no way of coming in, just being mentioned first. He has a knockout ratio of 75%. High knockout ratio. 22 with 18 knockouts. In his last 3 years, he's 7-1-1. 6 knockouts. Not too bad. We know he lost to Crawford. Up until then, his competition's been a mediocre, if not to his level. So you judge that how you want to judge that. Now, if you like numbers for your facts, and what have you done for me in the last 3 years of your career, well, shit, there's no one better than the next man. 16 for 16. Virgil Ortiz. All knockouts, 100%. Is he the hardest hitting welterweight? Is he? 16 fights, 16 knockouts. Numbers say he is. But then you say, what's his resume? What has he done in the last 3 years? Just knock out people that no one else has knocked out. He knocked out Mauricio Herrera, Antonio Orozco, Brad Solomon, Samuel Vargas. Vargas been knocked out before, but not by many. So he knocked out 3 people who's never been knocked out, and knocked out another who many people don't knock out. So is that the top of the line competition? No. But are they worthy competition for knockout and hardest hitting conversation pieces? It's worth mentioning. 16 for 16, 100% with those names. Hold on to that. The Double RT Boxing Show. This is the host, Mr.A, the host of your boxing show. Coming in now, it's the cream of the crops. What everyone wants to know: is it Errol Spence? Is it Terence Bud Crawford? Who's the hardest hitting welterweight? 27-0 with 21 knockouts, 77.8 knockout ratio. In the last 3 years, he's 6-0. No other than the truth, Errol Spence. So in the last 3 years, folks, he's 6-0 with 3 KOs. But those 3 KOs came back against Ocampo, Peterson, and Brook. Since then, he's fought Mikey Garcia, Danny Garcia, and Sean Porter, and no knockouts. Knocked out Ocampo. Didn't knock out Peterson. Got credit for it because it was a stoppage. The corner stopped that fight. So, didn't knock out Peterson, but it goes down as a knockout. And Brook, who he did stop, was an asterisk. You can have that asterisk next to that knockout, but it was a knockout. A legitimate knockout on paper. And since then, he fought, like I said, if you were going to go on resume, you're holding Virgil Ortiz to his, who the hell is Brad Solomon, Antonio Orozco, Mauricio Herrera, people that he knocked out. He was expected to win those fights, but not by knockout, not like that, not how he did it. Errol Spence was expected to beat Danny Garcia, maybe not by knockout, but kind of how he did. But he was suspected, I think, to knock out Mikey Garcia. He didn't dominate Mikey Garcia and didn't knock him out. So, is he the hardest hitting when you can't knock out Peterson, Mikey Garcia, and Danny Garcia? The last knockout was Ocampo. And it brings us to the thumbnail, the man of the hour, some say the pound for pound, Terence Bud Crawford. 37-0, 28 knockouts, 75.6 knockout percentage. In the last 3 years, folks, he's 7-0 with 7 KOs. 7-0 with 7 KOs. Now, this is not a Virgil Ortiz 16-0, building up. This is a well-decorated late man in his career, established, well-ready, and in the last 3 years, he's 7-0 with 7 KOs. Who has he fought? Okay. In the last 3 years, yes, he finished off at 140. He knocked out Felix Diaz and Ndongo in 18. Fighters that Felix Diaz, I don't think people were expecting. Again, he stopped Felix Diaz, not a knockout, but he's beating the shit out of him, like Errol Spence was Peterson. So you can hold that to how you want to hold that. Ndongo, what was Ndongo? Who knows? But he knocked him out. Then he moves up, knocks out Horn, knocks out Benavidez, knocks out Khan, knocks out Igis Kavalashes, who is mentioned on here as the hardest hitting welterweight, who dropped Terence Crawford, I do believe. Whether it's a stumble, flash knockdown, whatever, I believe he got him. But hey, results are the results. I believe he hit so hard, that's what changed the fight. I believe Terence Crawford actually respected his power and be like, you know what, I can't stay on the outside of this power, but I could rush him and nullify his power. I think that's what Terence Crawford's game plan went to. So he knocked out Ndongo and Diaz in 18. 19, he comes up, or in 18, he goes up in Horn, knocks out Horn and Benavidez. 19, knocks out Khan, knocks out Egas. And in 20, he knocks out Brook. All top-notch names. Top-notch names. There is no resume builder on that name, in those names. Now you will say whatever you want to say about Benavidez and Horn and Ndongo and Diaz, but at the point they earned themselves where they were on the rankings, former champions, high-level mandatories, top-notch competitors, people that you don't knock out unless you are good. Now, is Crawford a single shot knockout artist? I don't think anyone is in the welterweight division. Now, if you're going to say who is the single shot pound for pound or punch for punch knockout artist, I would probably go, that's with Egas. If you want to say who could probably hit one shot, but the hardest hitting welterweight, it shows by the career and this resume here that Egas' power fades. Terence Crawford, he got knockouts in the 4th round, the 6th round, the 9th round. His power is all through fights, and it delivers consistently. In the last 3 years, no one has a better knockout ratio over a higher competition than Terence Bud Crawford. Is he the hardest hitting welterweight? We know it comes with beatdown mentality, the beatdown style, over rounds. But everyone else is getting these rounds over rounds. Spence, Virgil Ortiz, Egas, they're all getting the rounds. Some of them are getting the knockouts. But in the last 3 years, you know who's gotten the least amount of knockouts? Errol Spence. In the last 3 years, he's got the least amount of knockouts over these guys, with the competition of Danny Garcia, Mikey Garcia, Sean Porter, Mauricio Herrera, Antonio Roscoe, Solomon, Samuel Vargas. Egas, I can't quite remember his competition, but it's not better. It's probably equal to Virgil Ortiz. But Errol Spence, in the last 3 years, least amount of knockouts. So I don't know if you can really say he's the hardest hitting welterweight. Again, thank you for your time and support. Leave a comment down below.